What do you get when you combine thoughtful discussions with local, state, and national leaders? Stories about nonprofits, motivational stories, worthy causes, a love of sports, and an attorney's point of view? You get the Mo Show podcast. The Mo Show is hosted by attorney Morris Lilienthal. Here's Mo.
Welcome to the other edition of Mo Show Live, everybody. Hey, it's Morris Lilienthal. All right, so what I jokingly tell people is God built me to play football, but I love basketball. And I love high school basketball, I love college basketball, and it is that time of the season where everybody's starting to practices are starting to go, exhibition games are starting to pick up, and getting that itch to watch some round ball. So today is a perfect opportunity to bring on a former Mo Show guest and my friend Spencer Beaty, who is the new head coach for the men's team at Regent University. So I'm happy to have Spencer back on the program. If you haven't caught prior episodes, and tell you a little bit of background about Spencer. Spencer and I went to school together at Maryville College. He played double sports there. He was a dual athlete in college. He's with Deion Sanders or Bo Jackson there. And has an undergraduate from Maryville, a postgraduate degree from Lincoln Memorial University. Previously coached in high school at Oak Ridge High School. And then after that, as an assistant at Hardin-Simmons University before coming to Regent. Spencer, thanks for taking time. I'm looking forward to hearing a little bit more about the new opportunity you've got here in the university and the team. And so how's it going, bud?
Man, thank you so much for having me, Mo. It's going great. It's busy. Obviously, like you said, we're just, getting into the season. We've been practicing for a while now and had a couple scrimmages. But yeah, I don't often get looked at as a basketball player. Most people think I'm a football coach. And so, but yeah, dual athlete. In college, but no means was I Deion Sanders. But I appreciate the shout out. I'm sure he's probably watching. But yeah, man, things are going great. We're just busy. Got a lot of exciting things going on here in Virginia Beach and at Regent University. And just thanks again for the opportunity to have me on and talk a little bit about our program and where we're headed.
Well, I'm excited to do it. And, I love that you and I both have that in common. We love college sports and really small college sports. And something that I tell people that'll listen is that, we went to an exhibition game for a Division I game the other night. But I'm telling you, if you jump into a Division III basketball game, you just kind of not looking for the bunch of 6'11", 6'8" guys, and you watch how good the competition is and the quality of basketball, I think people that haven't experienced it will walk away saying, my gosh, that is some really good basketball and some good, talented kids out there, men and women's. And so I really want to make sure we highlight that today as well. But folks, if you're watching the show live and you got questions or comments, put them below on Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn Live, wherever you're watching. We'll try to get to those and do. If you can share it out live, great. If you're watching afterwards and you got questions or comments, put it in the comments there, and Spencer and I will monitor these after the fact and try to answer any questions you may have. But Spencer, it's my understanding you kind of transitioned to this job and moved out there to Virginia Beach in the April-May timeframe of this year. What kind of attracted you to Regent University and wanting to take this job?
Well, Mo, I have to give all the praise to my Lord and Savior because honestly, like you mentioned before, I was in Texas and at Abilene, in the city of Abilene and at Hardin-Simmons University, and was extremely happy and had a great opportunity with Coach Brackett and his program there at HSU. And I think as I look back, I think God just took that time in preparing me to come here to Regent and to help build the program and to help support the athletic department. And as we're moving, and I'm sure we'll get into talk about moving into the NCAA, I just spent a lot of time in prayer and conversations and talking with others about, this opportunity. And I felt God just was preparing me while I was in Abilene. And I felt like it was what he wanted me to do. So I went on my faith and trusted in him and just excited about coming here and trying to put Regent University and our men's basketball program on the map.
Yeah, well, I can tell in the conversation that you and I had before we went live that your juices are flowing and you're excited for the opportunity that lies ahead for you and your team. And for those that don't know, the university is located in Virginia Beach, Virginia. I have undergraduate and graduate programs, and I think around, and this may include some other programs too, but around 13,000 students. So it's a good sized university, right?
It is. It is. It's a very mature campus with beautiful buildings, and it has a sort of a big campus feel, but like once you're on campus, I mean, it really has that small campus feel. It's kind of everybody kind of knows each other, and you're speaking to each other as you're walking across campus, and but yeah, we have the graduate program, we have a law school, and we have the undergraduate program as well. And so online classes, obviously we have in-person classes as well. And so we sort of a jack of all trades. They over 137 disciplines that kids can go into and get their degrees. And then, obviously the Christian Broadcasting Network and the 700 Club right here on campus. We have strong communications department and media department and things of that nature.
Well, that's great because that really, in terms of recruiting and trying to talk to these young men about coming to Regent University and the opportunities that it affords, that having that many disciplines open to them and to be able to say, hey, look, what are your interests? Because the odds are we've got that here and do, whereas at some of the other Division III schools, no knock in Maryville, but there was no engineering program at Maryville. And so I know our teammates had to kind of do a dual enrollment or transition to University of Knoxville after. So having all of those disciplines and even having the postgraduate opportunities to know that if they're interested, like me, being a lawyer or something, that they could go to undergraduate there and then lead on to law school right there on campus and do. So you kind of hinted at it. And so you guys are right now moving from the NCCAA, which I think stands for the National Christian Collegiate Athletic Association, to the NCAA, which a lot of more people are more familiar with, Division III level. Talk a little bit about what that entails for you guys right now. I know you're kind of in an exploratory year, and then I think there may be a next step after that. Talk a little bit about what that means and from their basketball program and admissions and everything else.
Sure, absolutely. It means a lot. There's a lot of moving parts here. First thing was, moving into the NCAA from the NCCAA, when our athletic director and I had a conversation. This job has previously been a part-time position, and obviously being at Hardin-Simmons in a full-time position, it was going, and having a lot of success, it was going to be hard to draw me here. But the university, like I said, had made a decision that they wanted to put more emphasis on athletics, and so they started moving positions into full-time positions. And as we move into the NCAA, we're in our exploratory year right now. And so we sort of have a foot still in the NCCAA while we're going through the steps with the NCAA. And, there are some similarities, but, there are obviously some differences as well, from compliance. For example, the NCCAA gives you 10 semesters to play, whereas the NCAA, you have a clock, which is 10. So once you enter a university, your clock starts. But with the NCCAA, your semesters that you play count. And so if you step out, it stops, and you can step back in. And so, again, that's just a small piece. We have to, talk about the admissions piece, the housing piece, because we were not a traditional undergraduate program. So as programs start to recruit more athletes that are looking for the NCAA piece, we're going to have more, more housing, because you're going to bring in more kids. You have the registrar piece. There is just so many moving parts that it would really, it's not a one day conversation. The compliance pieces as well.
So, we often hear of teams moving, say, from a division, NCAA division, say 2 to 1AA, or old school, say 1AA or FCS. But the FCS to FBS and other things. And there are some changes there, but this is even bigger change than that, Victor, in terms of a lot of what you're talking about. It's not just an athletics piece. There's a whole other big partial piece to it as well, it sounds like.
There is. It's just, it's a mindset, that in itself requires just a different type of approach. Not that the NCCAA and the institutions that are in it aren't approaching the game like everyone else, but it is a much broader aspect in which, you've got to just, everybody on campus has to be on board. We all have to be on the same page. At the end of the day, it's doing what's best for the student athlete and preparing them, for their next stage. And like you said, it's not FCS, it's not FBS, it's not Division I or Division II. It is the purest definition of a student athlete. And so these kids are here to get a degree, and they truly were playing for the love of the game. And, they know that, they've got to get a degree so that they can prepare, like I said, for the next step in their life.
Yeah. And for those that don't know, when you play at a Division III level, there are no athletic scholarships per se, and I assume a lot of these things may still be consistent with back in the dark ages when we were in college playing Division III sports. But my understanding is that a lot of times what you do will try to find these young men various grants or partial academic scholarships, or find financial aid, those kinds of things to help these young men come. So, folks, if you don't know, again, like I said, it's great athletics, it's great competition. And these kids put a lot of time and energy in, just like the kids at the bigger named universities, but they're not getting athletic scholarships. And so there's either some kind of academic Pell Grant or, loan type of access to funds there to pay their tuition. So these kids are there because they want to be there, right?
No question about it. No, these kids truly do have a love for the game. And obviously, with the transfer portal and all of that, the recruiting it looks a lot different than it did when you and I were playing. But, we recognize kids, and, obviously we're pulling from a much larger pool than, say, coaches from a Division I program, Nate Oates at Alabama, or, a Division II program. Our pool is much larger. And their packages are built on, first and foremost, their academics. What kind of GPA do they have?
Right.
What kind of test scores do they have? And then there's internal scholarships that they can apply for. And then there's external scholarships that they can apply for. And then, of course, if people out there are not aware, there's the FAFSA. And so, the FAFSA is going to determine, what the family and then the student athlete, do they qualify for, like you mentioned, Pell Grant money? And that's money that they don't have to pay back. And then obviously the dreaded word of student loans. And then building the package for that kid with just automatic scholarship money based on GPA, outside or inside scholarship money, and then what their FAFSA says they can afford. And then you put a package together, and then hopefully, you can meet somewhere in the middle to convince that young man or woman that what we have to offer academically and athletically, that it's worth it. And here at Regent, we're very competitive. I would say it's hard to find a Division III school that you could say you're just under 30,000. And we are, we're just under 30,000, that if somebody just walked up and said, I want to come to school here and this is what I want to pay, I'll pay whatever, that's pretty competitive. And so we are definitely able to build a great financial aid package for students and student athletes to come. And obviously we provide a lot of different opportunities to get degrees. So we got a lot of great things going on here.
Well, speaking of that, you mentioned to me, and before we went live, and I was doing a little research about part of the exciting thing. Another exciting thing about this transition to Division III is some new facilities that are coming on board that'll be great for all the new programs and the current programs, and for the student athletes that are gonna be coming in. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So Pat and Dee Dee Robertson was, they founded the institution, and Regent University actually used to be named CBN University, for Christian Broadcasting Network, that I watched in the living room with my grandmother. She watched it and I watched it with my mom and dad. And, before Pat's passing, he had decided that this was something that he wanted, and obviously passed the torch to Gordon, his son, and their family. And so they had made a decision to move forward with trying to start privately raising money for a facility. And, sometime back, I think in September, we had a reveal, and they actually announced, which was extremely exciting, that they had raised, I believe it was just over or right at $43 million privately. And so that was, I think the number was less than 10 when I got here in April or May. And so we knew it was going to take some time, but it was going to be on God's time. And obviously we've been in great prayer about that. And so with that, I think it seems to sort of up the timeline a little bit where we were all thinking, but we still are just putting our faith and trust in the Lord. And but 43 million. And now that we've put it out there publicly, I don't even know what the number is at this point. But we have the blueprints. The drawings are out there. And so we're excited to see trees come down. The property's been marked off. And so we're excited about that. And, obviously to become NCAA compliant, this would be a difference with the NCAA compared to the NCCAA. We have to have a minimum number of sports. And so next year we're adding baseball, and the year after we're going to be adding softball.
Oh, great.
So, but yeah, the facility is on paper, and we've seen the renderings of that, and they've done a video, and it's state of the art, and we're just blessed and excited about it, and just trying to just take it one day at a time and focus on the day at hand and let God handle the other things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, it's really exciting to hear that the community and the school, and I'm sure the alumni and everybody else is getting behind this transition into NCAA Division III. And because I can tell you, for us, my experience was it really helps add to the campus life. It brings a lot of great people onto campus from additional students. It brings more people in the community and more ties to the community with maybe local businesses and everybody else. It just really adds a really nice piece to the school experience, having that there. And then certainly having the facilities will allow you to recruit better and make it a little easier to recruit. And then certainly, it's athletics. You want to have a good home court advantage. And so
Absolutely.
a nice facility and do it in somewhere that you take pride in, and you love playing at home. And then, the alumni and fans and everybody loves, and students love to come watch it out and play. And it's there's something to it, Spencer. And That's great to see that's on the horizon, and you'll get there when it as you said, when it's meant to be. But it sounds like you've got a great start getting there.
Well, we definitely need some hamburglers and Coach Nick's, and some let's see here. Who's another one? Nick White. Some of the original OGs of the student section. We definitely would love to find some of those guys and gals in our student section to help cheer us on when we get our new facility. Athletics it brings a lot of different things to the university. Obviously you have the sport, the aspect of sports, but camaraderie within your students and opportunity to come together and build school spirit. And so, yeah, it's really exciting.
Absolutely. And well, here we are right now talking and engaging, and we stayed in touch probably in large part due to playing sports together. And the interesting thing to me, Spencer, I hadn't thought about it now, but a lot of people that I see in the community here in North Alabama, or that I see out various places and do in the Southeast, I'll run into somebody that went to Maryville and they didn't play the same sport I did, but we played another sport, and we might have run into each other in the athletic facility or in the training room or at different events. And so it builds a whole overall school camaraderie, not just within that sport, but broader than that as well. Talk to us a little bit about now. We'll kind of dive a little bit more into the meat of the basketball part. Talk about what your philosophy is, kind of what you're trying to do on the basketball court with your team this year and going forward, and what you've been kind of putting into place as you got there in April, May of this year with your team. I mean, what we think if we come watch the Royals play this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Philosophy number one is we're going to recruit the young man first. We want high integrity young men that represent the university and the program and themselves and their families. It doesn't matter the level, but it has to matter to them when we take the floor. Whether it's in the weight room, study hall, a game, film study, it has to matter. And I think your special Division III programs, they have a culture of where those guys are there because it matters. It's not just an opportunity to wear some gear and go back home and say, I play college athletics. It has to matter. And so, we want young men to come in knowing that they're there to get a degree. And we're going to take the same approach as the guys up at UVA do when it comes to athletics and our basketball program. The same approach down in Blacksburg at Virginia Tech, or even down the street at CNU. Obviously, I think 3 out of the last 4 national champions in the Division III have come from this area, and so it has to matter, and that's one of our team mottos. Is, and so to know that they are here to get a degree, to grow their faith, and to be competitive, to be the best that they can be on the basketball court. And so, our philosophy has changed from what has been in the past. Preseason is, they're lifting 4 days a week, which puts us right into the NCAA allows you like 114 days. And so traditional start time is October the 15th. And I think you get like 8 days prior to that you can use as you want. And so, but, we go from 4 days a week lifting to 3 days a week lifting. And once games start, we're 2 days a week lifting. We're, spending time in the off season, and guys are getting in open runs. And obviously with the NCAA, we can't be a part of that, but just setting a standard and an expectation for our guys that are returning and the guys that we are recruiting. And that leads me to saying, you guys that recruiting is our lifeline. It never dies, it never stops. And so we're constantly recruiting and looking for that guy that's hungry and wanting an opportunity to play at the next level. I think this statistic is 3.5%, 4.5% of all high school basketball players in the United States get an opportunity. And so obviously that percentage is even smaller when you talk about pulling a Division II kid or Division I kid. And so it's a unique opportunity. And, I tell kids all the time, when a coach shows an interest, you need to take the time to show interest back. And don't burn bridges. You never know how things are going to happen because, again, the recruiting scene is so much different than it used to be. Mm-hmm. And so just to sort of wrap that up, the kid first, got to be a great kid, got to take his academics seriously, and the sport's got to matter. He wants to get in there and he wants to compete and grind every day.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, it's folks, I'm telling you, you may not be playing on ESPN, but there are people are working hard. It's a lot of effort and time, and if you're going to put it in, you might as well go all in and do the best you can with it. And I think that's as you know, and I know, and you've seen in your coaching career that's how you've got to put the time and effort in, and it means it's got to mean something to you to do that if you want to compete. And if you're going to roll the ball out there, you might as well go out there and try to win them all. And with the expectation it may not happen, but we're going to give it our all every time we walk out there on the court or in the weight room and everything else. What do we look like, Coach? What are we looking like offensive wise, defensive wise? What can we expect? And I know some of that, my guess going to predict some of your answers may be kind of depend upon what your players are like, what their best skills are right now, may be a little different from what you've got now, and it may modify a little bit with the different kids over the next few years as you recruit some more. But what are your general philosophies, and what is it going to look like with the team this year?
Yeah, space and pace. I think because of our dwindled roster, I should say, we got on board, late in the spring and was able to get some guys committed. And, then we had some guys that kind of realized that, yeah, maybe this is not really for them. It's a little bit more of a commitment than what has been in the past. And not that they're not great guys, and it's not, not that we're not even willing to help them, whether it's be a reference for them in the future or whatever the case may be, but it is college athletics. And so we originally, believe it or not, have already sort of transitioned from what we were thinking about doing offensively to transitioning into something else because, we had a couple of guys with some size and they decided that maybe it's not for them. And so we're doing, I guess for you and I, what we would consider a traditional offense. We don't have that traditional post player with his back to the basket. Let's say Edie, for example, from Purdue. I think a lot of people would know him. Obviously, they were
sure.
Big time favorite for the national championship last year. We don't, guys with size now, because you can't coach that. You can't teach it. Guys with size are a commodity and
right.
or a hot commodity, and they're hard to get. And so every 9 out of 10 questionnaires or things I get from kids are point guards. And so, but offensively, with pace, space, play out of ball screens, we get into some DHOs, get into some zoom actions, and try to take advantage of our speed and our lack of size by creating disadvantages.
Right.
And, we're looking for pretty much 4 things in an offensive possession: a non-contested three, a layup, what we call a flip, an offensive rebound, or a foul that, can get us to the free throw line or get us into the bonus quicker than the other team. Defensively, we're going to play man-to-man as much as we possibly can. I don't like to switch, but because of our size and because we're fairly equal in size, we've seen that in our 2 scrimmages, some of our switching schemes, our pre-switching screens or pre-switching schemes have helped us. And so, you know, we'll throw in a little bit of zone here and there, maybe just to disrupt flow or maybe out of a surprise. But I'm not a big fan of zone because I feel like sort of takes away a box out accountability piece. And so, but we're going to primarily play man, get on the line and try to force the action. But we also think that our best offense is actually our defense. If we can get out and run and get open threes in transition or easy layups coming from turnovers above the free throw line, that's what we'd really like to do.
Yeah. Well, so you got to play to your strengths, and if your strengths are you're fast and you're quick and you're disciplined and you can create some turnovers and get out and create some space and shoot the ball. I've got a 5'4" freshman point guard at home, so I know the point guard thing and do so. Talk to us a little bit about the team, though. Tell us a little bit about as we get ready to wrap up here. Tell us a little bit about the kids and how you've gotten to know them and interact with the kids that are there. And I know you're just being a coach and knowing you. I know you've enjoyed bonding with these guys and building a relationship with them, and that's where it starts, because to build trust and to buy into your philosophy, you've got to have a relationship with them. So talk a little bit about that.
No doubt. You know, you mentioned obviously our history and playing at the Division III level, and you know I talked about the purity in that, and you know I always told my teams when I had the opportunity to play, I was the least athletic player of 10 on the floor at any given time, and so I sort of hung my hat just on hard work and grit and physical toughness and in trying to lead that way. And, you know, I hope that my teams display that when they play. And, you know, we've had a couple of scrimmages, and I told our guys in film study yesterday, you know, I couldn't be more pleased with the effort that they've given. You know, our numbers are not what we would like for them to be, but our guys are giving maximum effort every day. And, you know, I think that goes to relationships. From the start, you know, I've really pushed them and been tough on them and held them to a high standard. But I truly believe that unless they know that we care about them, you know, they're not going to play hard. And so I think they know we care. And I think that just carries over to the efforts that they're giving. You know, like right now, we've got 13 guys on our roster. You know, we started with 21. Some guys had bowed out, just, you know, didn't feel like it was for them. We're down to 13. We've got right now, actually, over the last couple of days, we got a couple guys that are transferring in at the break. So we're excited about them, hopefully to get a couple more, which is another piece that Regent offers that we didn't even talk about with mini sessions, but I don't want to get off on that topic. But out of our 13, right now we got 8 that's healthy to play. So we've played 2 scrimmage games, you know, and we've played with the first scrimmage game, we played with 9, and this last one we played with 8. And, you know, our guys are out there competing, and we try to put it in perspective from where we have been and where we're going. And the effort is, I gave them an A+. I told them, you know, no, I can't fault them there. You know, we were in a close scrimmage, our first scrimmage, and our second scrimmage, we won in overtime. And so, you know, I just can't fault them at all with their heart and their effort and their willingness to learn, because, you know, the guys returning are learning a new system, a new philosophy. And we talked about that from the beginning. It's probably going to be more difficult for them than it is for the new guys. And so we've just, we've come miles, but we've got miles to travel. And so they know that I'm never going to be satisfied, and they've accepted that. And we've talked about staying in the fire every day and not wishing to get out of the fire, but just accepting that they're going to continue to stay in the fire and stack days to get better. Because at the end of the day, we're building husbands, we're building better Christians, we're building fathers, and so we just want to. We know, you and I know, it doesn't get easier, it'll get easier once I get out of college and I don't have to deal with going to class or practice. Well, it don't get easier. So we just hoping to build them and prepare them for life. And, God gave me the basketball court to use to help grow men. And so I take that very seriously.
Well, absolutely. And I think, it speaks volumes for the kids that have stayed and are buying in. And you can correct mistakes if somebody's supposed to change on the ball screen, or they're not in position where they need to be, or the spacing's not right. It's hard to coach effort. And so if you've got the effort, those guys are starting it where they need to be starting, and the rest will fall in place. And because if they're willing to give the effort and time,
Absolutely.
Then the success will come with the effort, and no doubt about it. Folks, if you want to learn more, Spencer, I think maybe the best place is to check out y'all's website below, at regentroyals.com.
Yes.
And then like a lot of athletic programs, y'all have got several social media accounts. I know I've started following the athletics account on Facebook, and I know y'all have an Instagram account. So check out that Regent Royals. I think you've got some links there to the various social media profiles and accounts. Keep track of what the Royals are doing this year and what lies ahead in the future. First game as we wrap up here, November 9th, Columbia College, and I think you kind of have a little bit of a mash of schedule this year. You've got some Division III teams on there, maybe some teams from the prior conference that y'all are leaving, the league you're leaving, and then maybe some NAIA teams. But got a full schedule. It's going to give you guys a lot of opportunities this year, right?
Yeah, sure. Let's use the word opportunity. That's nice. That'd be great. Yeah, I mean, not only are our numbers down, but our schedule got tougher. And as we're preparing to get into this schedule, we're already into working on the schedule for next year, which is going to get tougher. And so, we probably, we open up with Columbia, and could be our toughest game on our schedule. Outside of our Division I teams. They're athletic. They've got size. They're a very good basketball team. We're gonna have our hands full from the beginning. But we're not. I don't think there's any room for backing down. And the best way to learn is through experience. Our guys are going to lay that foundation, and I think they're doing that every day with the way they work. So, we're sort of transitioning away from the NCAA games into the NCAA games and Division III. And obviously, as we become a full-fledged member, that too has parameters to where we can only schedule so many games and have so many exhibitions and things of that nature. So we're excited about that. And I don't even know if I mentioned, we talked about all the good things that were going on, but, Jonathan Isaac, the Orlando Magic, his people reached out to us. We had a great opportunity to connect with him, and wearing his team shoe this year, which is awesome. Guys are excited about that. Schedule is tough, but I think that's what it requires to climb the ladder and try to gain some respect.
Well, you're starting on the right foot. You've got kids that are giving the effort and looking for the opportunity. And hey, a lot of great things on the horizon, and these young men have the opportunity to really set the foundation for the team for not only this year, but for the program to come as you move into Division III. And I have no doubt with you at the helm and what you're telling me, how they're doing so far, that they're going to build that foundation for the program, and it's just going to be great things on the horizon. Spencer, great to catch up with you, my friend. I wish you guys the best of luck. I'll be following you online, and if you follow me on social, I'm going to be sharing out their stuff too. So we'll be following you and the team, and I wish you the best of luck this season.
Thank you, Mo. Appreciate you having me, and let's get together again soon. Would love to do it.
Sounds good.
Go Royals.
Go Royals. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everybody. Check them out.
Thanks for listening to the Mo Show podcast. To see more, head over to the Mo Show YouTube channel or find the Mo Show page on Facebook to watch the weekly live recordings.